Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me. Today's video is a sewing video. In my, by the time you see this, I think it'll be my video before last, I showed this fabric panel that I had created from scrap fabric. And I thought I would do a video showing you how I create those fabric panels from my scraps. So I do this all the time. My favorite thing to do is to use them to make hot pads. And I sew these by hand sometimes, but this one is the one I did in the video, and I had that one quilted on the Brother PR1055, but you don't have to have an embroidery machine. Again, these were all made by hand, and I just sew a bunch of fabric pieces together. Today we're going to sew this panel together in the video. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is just a fun way to use up your stash, and I'm even using some of my test stitch outs as pieces to use in these scrappy projects. So I'm going to show you how to do this in the video. Let's get started. So the first thing I do when I'm going to make some fabric from my scraps is pull a bunch of scraps. Obviously they don't have to be straight cuts, they don't have to be all the same size. I've got all different shapes and sizes. You can tell by some of these that I've used big pieces, I've used straight pieces, I've used crooked pieces. You can see I've used anything that comes to mind or anything that goes together, in my opinion. There's really no right or wrong. You can make this as crazy looking as you want, or very structured, very straight, very linear. You don't have to, there's no right or wrong way with this. The other thing that I keep is when I do test stitches for my embroidery, I save these. So again, these are like scraps. So I think I'm going to incorporate this one in there today. I'm going to make a little hot pad for one of my friends who is a camper. So these are just test pieces. So again, I can add fabric to these and make a big fabric panel to use in a bag, to use in some kind of different project. I could use it for a hot pad. I could use it for quilting. I can use it for whatever I want. These are just, I have a whole bin of these. When I do a test stitch, I throw them in there. So we'll incorporate that one today. So again, these don't have to be any sort of rhyme or reason, straight, crazy, whatever you want. You can also quilt this right on your batting. I typically don't, just because I might want to do the quilting with the embroidery machine, or I might want to do something later. I might be add it to a bag, and I want to, quilt the whole bag the same way. So I try not to pre-quilt, but you can do this right on top of your batting, and I believe I have a video showing that. I'll try to remember to link that in here. So for this, I'm going to start with this. This is going to be, you can start with whatever piece you want. And all you do is grab one of your scraps, and you're going to put it right side down. Make sure that it covers edge to edge of whatever you're doing. If you wanted to do this crazy, you could do it on a corner. Just make sure that you're covering that complete corner, so that when you flip it over, that whole corner is covered. So I'm just going to put this one right sides together. I'm going to line up one edge. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to put this on the sewing machine. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can use whatever you want. Again, this is your project, whatever you're comfortable with. I like to back stitch at the beginning and the end. I'm going to stitch these together. Now when I get to the end where these come together, I am going to cut that edge off. I'm just going to use my rotary cutter. You can use scissors, whatever. Again, there's no right or wrong. So then you're going to open it up, and I always press the seam to the darker side of the fabric. You can do whatever way you want. You can open the seam if you want. I tend to press it towards the dark side. So the darker green, that means the seam won't show through. So there we've got that piece. Now I'm going to grab another piece of fabric. And again, you can make this as scrappy as you want, but I'm just going to use one solid piece. And you just want to make sure that it overlaps completely. You can see this one's kind of askew. So I'm just going to go over here where I know all the fabric's going to meet. I'm going to stitch that down. And again, I'm just going to use my ruler, my rotary cutter, trim that off, trim this off. Trim this off. All right, so we're going to open that up. Again, I'm going to press the seam towards the darker side, which will be this direction. Keeping that seam down. All right, so now where are we going to go? Well, I might not have a piece of fabric that is quite big enough to reach all the way down. I'm sure I probably do, but I'm going to show you if you didn't, you would take another piece of fabric and another piece of fabric. Let's go with the black. I'm going to stitch those together. Again, we're always stitching right sides together. Going to open it up, press towards the dark fabric. Also need to trim that up a little bit. Just making sure that I have a nice, long, solid piece of fabric. There we go. And now I could add that over here. I could add it so that it's half black, half green. I could do this. I could cut part of this off. Add some pink. Again, we're going to open it up, press towards the dark fabric. I'm going to use my ruler, my rotary cutter. We're going to cut this down, making sure that we get all that fabric. All right, so now I've got a 3 patch. I can add this. I could add it up here, I could add it over here. I'm going to do something like that, so I'm going to turn it this way. Again, we're going to stitch it down. And I'm paying attention to where these seams are. This one I did towards the dark, so I'm going to make sure that gets stitched down that way. This side as well. You can use your scissors if you want. You could use your rotary cutter. I'm just going to cut this off. We're going to open it up. And I'm going to press this whole seam that direction. I'm going to push this seam this direction. There's really no right or wrong on how you do this or how it looks. It's totally up to you. Now I need to come up. I could do I could make this into a bag with this on the bottom. That would be cute. I can add another panel here, make that into a bag. I could put this in the embroidery machine and make it a quilt out. I'm going to add, see this, I didn't have a whole lot of that pink down there. I should have lifted that up a little bit more, but that's all right. We're just going to cover it up. So I'm going to add this one, raw edge to raw edge, pretty sides together. Again, I'll look at this side. So I can cut this little piece off. It's just extra. So the beauty of this is that you can really just grab your scrap bin and have some fun. So now we've got that. You can just keep building on this as much or as little as you want. Let's see, how about we do some yellow on the, we'll do yellow on the top. So I need another piece so that I can meet that end. So let's use, if I've got something I haven't used yet, we'll use the denim. So I'm going to sew these two pieces together. So we've got those two. I'm gonna go this way. And again, I can just keep overlapping this so that I make sure that I cover all of that fabric. Or if you want to be more precise, just take this, grab your ruler, make a straight edge. There you go. We can just, and this is getting a little crooked, so let's straighten this up. Which wouldn't even matter, but I'm just gonna straighten it as I go. So now we have this, it's gonna go up there. So we'll turn it right sides together. So you're just going to keep building your block any way you want, add all the fabric you want until you get it the size approximately that you need. If I'm going to make this into a hot pad or a trivet, I'm going to make it some kind of square size. So I might go, let's see, let's get one straight edge here. Since this has stripes, I'm going to make sure that I got a straight edge here. And now I have the panel like I used in the video where I put this on the embroidery machine and let it quilt out. I believe it was this one. So I just pre-made my panel, I laid that down, and then I did a quilt design on it. You can do this by hand. You don't have to put it on an embroidery machine. You can do it, like I said, put this in the panel of a bag. You could put it anywhere you want. Now I also wanted to show you just how to do sort of a crazy one. So let's take some of these more funky scraps. So if you wanted to do one that was a little more scrappy, a little different, so we have this piece, and I'm just going to make this smaller just so that I can demonstrate. Okay, so we've got this really odd piece of fabric here. So you've got different scraps. Again, I'm just going to find some place where I can cross from one edge to the other, right there. So I'm going to stitch that down. So we're always stitching right sides together. So you're going to open that up, and then you can use your rotary cutter if you want. Cut off some of the tails. We've got that. So now we can take maybe this piece and let's see. I want to get from there. I want to cover this whole edge. So I'm going to put it this way. So we got to put it right side down. So now I'm going to stitch that together. All right. You can cut this extra off. You don't have to, but it can get kind of bulky if you don't. All right, so now we've got this kind of shape. So now I could take another piece and I'm going to cross right here, making sure I'm going from edge to edge. All right, again, we can cut this off. Give it a press, see how we're doing here. See, we've got some really big seam allowances back here just because we're overlapping big. You just cut them off. another one where we cross the fabric. You should cut these as you go. For the sake of the video, I'm rushing. All right, and one more. All right, so we've got all this. We're just gonna give it a press. And you can see we're starting to build a really scrappy look here. So again, like before, you can just keep going with this. You can do multiple short pieces and then stitch them together because it does start to get pretty big pieces. But already I can take this and just, I'm going to line up straight line on my ruler and my mat. Got this side, make that straight. And I can keep building on this. So there we've got another panel of fabric that we can use for something else, or we could make another panel and then stitch the two together. I could actually take this panel, stitch it to this, fold it down, it would make even a bigger panel. So that's how you use your fabric scraps to create the extra fabric. So I hope this video inspired you to grab those scraps, sew them together, and create new projects, sort of an upcycle situation. This one I thought turned out really fun in the video that I did. I think it's video before last by the time you see this video. So just an idea, a way to use those scraps, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I would love to see what you make with your scraps. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share. Don't forget to click that bell so that you're notified every time there's a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, never stop making. See ya. Bye-bye.